All eyes are on Iowa tonight.
Democratic candidates are making their final pitches ahead of tonight's caucuses. KTTC's Zach Fuller is live in Des Moines with what's going on before the big night. Good morning, Zach.
Well, good morning, Byron and Jess. And presidential candidates have been scattered all across the state, crisscrossing back and forth all across Iowa, making their final pleas before the first voters in the 2020 election make their choices known. Roughly 1,100 people packed into Des Moines Middle School on Sunday to listen to former Vice President Joe Biden as he appealed to parents, stating kids should not be learning how to run and cover at school, and at times taking jabs at President Donald Trump, saying Wall Street does not build America, hardworking people do.
You've never had a greater responsibility than you have today, no matter how many caucuses you have attended. We can turn 4 years of Donald Trump into an aberration, historical aberration, but 8 years he'll change the country in a way we can't tolerate. We need you, we need you, we need you.
Call a job or responsibility.
Candidates are hoping their messages resonate with Iowans and that it will be enough to sweep up a good number of delegates, which when the caucusing starts tonight at 7. And now caucus officials say if you're not registered, you cannot show up later than 6:30. You must be in line by 6:30. And if you're a Democratic caucus goer, if you're not in line by 7, you will not be able to participate. You will automatically become an observer. And we'll bring you the latest results and candidate reactions tonight and Tuesday morning on KTTC News Today. Reporting live in Des Moines, Zach Fuller, KTTC News.
Thank you, Zach. NBC's Savannah Guthrie interviewed Biden after the event, and we caught up with her following that interview.
You know, Iowa's always really interesting because of the viability thresholds and people in the second choice mattering. I think the change in rules this year in Iowa are going to make it very interesting how the different campaigns spin the results.
It airs in just a bit on the Today Show.
Joe Biden wasn't the only Democrat out on caucus eve making that final pitch to voters. So we're going to begin with Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, who spent part of her Sunday in Mason City.
And I just have this strong faith that the people of Iowa understand when I couldn't be here all last week that I had a job to do. And that they get that because I wasn't there, you just have to double down on your work.
And the Democrats aren't the only candidates campaigning across Iowa in front of the caucuses.
Republicans Joe Walsh and Bill Weld are looking to unseat incumbent President Donald Trump. Weld is a former Massachusetts governor. Walsh is a former member of Congress from Illinois. Both are going directly after the president and his policies.
I think Donald Trump is a horrible human being. I think he lies every time he opens his mouth. I don't think he's capable of putting the country's interest ahead of his own. I think he's a horrible role model for our kids.
I think the Republican Party needs an economic conservative and someone who takes environmental issues seriously and doesn't insult our allies and cozy up to our foes. Those are three things I'd like to do.
Republicans caucus at the same time Democrats do tonight at 7. For up on where you can find your caucus location, just go to our website, kttc.com. Iowans are making their selection in the first in the nation caucuses.
But what are the attitudes of those in the Hawkeye state? Michaela Feldman reports from Des Moines.
The energy is starting to buzz here in Des Moines. Candidates are making the rounds throughout the Hawkeye state, hoping to drum up any last-minute support before Monday. I stopped at a local coffee shop to hear some unique perspectives when it comes to the Iowa caucuses. First in the nation. It's a term you hear a lot of when it comes to the Iowa caucuses. For some, Iowa is a flyover state. But come Monday, Iowa is top of mind for many.
There's an awful lot of good things happening here, and it's good that we have a voice.
That voice is something Jolie Davis says she doesn't take lightly.
I vote in every election that comes up, and I like it better when I get my sticker. I like my I voted sticker.
But even though Davis lives in Iowa, she's never caucused before.
It's overwhelming, and it's a big commitment out of your day or your evening. And I know a lot of people who do, and God bless them, because we need those voices.
One of those voices this year will be Katie Mitchell. This will be her first caucus.
It'll be interesting to see it in person after just hearing about it in classes all through high school.
She says she's excited to see other people's opinions when it comes to the candidates, and she's gotten some advice ahead of time.
You don't always have to go with who you're originally hoping for. You can go and help somebody who needs just a few more people to be viable and keep them in the running longer.
Eric Gutierrez is hoping to see his candidate pull through. He's from Houston, Texas, canvassing in Iowa for Elizabeth Warren.
And I think it's an opportunity for really someone to show this is who I believe in, this is my candidate, and I feel like Iowans get really fired up about that. They're like, they don't take this lightly, they take this as like an actual responsibility.
And if he had the opportunity to participate,
if I could be a part of it, 100%.
That responsibility is something everyone I spoke with say they don't take lightly. They say it's important to think about the candidate you're caucusing for and the impact that will have on Iowa and the November election. Back to you.
The caucuses always draw a lot of media attention, both local and national. NBC's Meet the Press aired live Sunday morning from downtown Des Moines. On the subject of the caucuses, host Chuck Todd said right now there's a lot of anxiety among Democrats.
It's all over this, what is the best way to beat Trump? Is it with a former vice president? Is it with somebody who can bridge the divide between the progressives and the moderates?
Todd says supporters of Senator Bernie Sanders seem pretty locked in, so he's curious to see how Iowans supporting other candidates could realign tonight. One of the guests was legendary news anchor Tom Brokaw. The former nightly news anchor says it's hard to predict what Iowans are thinking.
The Iowa citizens, the voters, play it close to the vest, and they may say that they're for X or Y, but they're likely to go home that night, have another conversation with their husband or their wife, and change their mind. Sure. And we can't always track that.
Brokaw says part of the problem is the pressure put on Democrats who have to stand up and publicly support a candidate. The Rochester Civic Theater